Hey everybody, it's Melly Starz, and this week I'm going to do something a little different. Usually I interview artists and things like that. And this week we got a DJ with us. We're here with DJ LSL.
Hey everyone, I'm going to go by DJ LSL. Some of you guys might know me. I'm representing Full Pound Records. This is our new logo. A lot of people, when they see me, when they first saw me, the impression is, oh, this kid must be 18 years old. That's not the case.
Yeah, he's not new to the game. So tell me, where did all start? Where did you start DJing? Where your roots?
Well, basically how the roots came about. Well, once again, I'm not 18, and I'm not going to reveal my real age either. So that's something you're gonna have to find out on your personal time, or you can personally ask me.
Do your research.
So basically, how this all started. Well, before I was even born, my dad was a DJ. And my uncle, after I was born, like 10 or 11 years later, he started DJing. But basically, how it all started, I remember being young and seeing my grandfather, with turntables and records. Well, my grandfather wasn't a DJ, but he had like a huge, massive record collection. And I remember just looking at the needle, looking at the record, and I'm like, wow, like this is really interesting. Like I love what I'm seeing here, And
just like interest, right?
Exactly. It's just like any other little kid, any other little kid, they'll see that and they'll be like, oh my God, what is that, And that's how.
Curious.
I was curious, exactly. I was curious when I was younger, and I really had no clue what it was. I was just like, wow, this is so cool. Like I don't, let's see what happens, in the future. So. Okay, so then that was back in the 90s. So then, the year 2000 came. Towards the end of the year 2000, my uncle started DJing, and because he started DJing, again, it crossed again in my life again, and I'm like, wow, again, like I run into this, being 11 years old.
It's something that you were constantly seeing, and it intrigued you even more.
Exactly. So, I saw my uncle with these turntables and these records, and I'm like, wow! And it was actually a Christmas party that we were having, my family Christmas party. And as soon as I saw everything, my uncle told me a little bit more of what it was and what are these records for and everything. And basically, from there, I was after that day, I knew that I wanted to be stuck at my uncle's house. I wanted to be there, just constantly stuck, just DJing and DJing. But wow. Again, I was in middle school during the time. I was in the 7th grade, and of course, the timing was, It
wasn't ideal timing.
Exactly.
You knew you had that passion for it, so.
Exactly. So.
You went with it.
Basically, after that, like my timing that I spent with him, taking me to record stores and vinyls to buy vinyls from all these different genres, and we'll just go back to his house. We'll play the record, and he will teach me how to scratch, and it will be all during the weekend because of course high schools don't have school during the weekend, or
all your spare time.
Exactly, spring break, we got summer. And I dedicated my time always wanting to go to his house, and that only happened for a year, from 2000 to basically to 2000. Actually, from the ending of 2000 to almost the beginning of 2001, and that's when I had my own turntables. Where my dad and my uncle they both got together and they both bought me a nice DJ set.
It's nice to have that support from the family and stuff. So, you said obviously that your family is a big inspiration. What other things inspire you to really DJ, and how do you come up with all the mixes and things like that? Like
all the mixes that I've come up with so far, and plus the ones that my fans still haven't heard because they've been from a very long time ago. It's just a passion that I have for it, and it's a passion that no matter what happens, no matter where I go, no matter if I stop doing it for a year or two, it's always going to follow me no matter what, because eventually I'm going to end up right back in the same spot. And and after going, after practicing, because I was active with my own turntables and my own vinyl, because that's when I started collecting my vinyl collection, which you guys will see later on. I started collecting from the beginning of 2001 all the way to 2005.
Wow.
And I had to stop DJing in the year of 2005. Because after 2001, after I had my turntables and everything, I started going out, DJing here and there for private events, making my own mixes and making, mixes, of course, for my friends and my family. And the one thing that stopped me was 2005, the summer of 2005. To make a long story short, I mean, I had a private event. That was my last private event in 2005, where I remember, you know, I brought all my equipment, and you know, of course, you know, like every DJ, you know, you have to charge, you know, according to, you know, how many hours and everything. And my case, you know, I mean, it was a little different. You know, I mean, the guy, you know, he basically, I mean, like, he was getting drunk the whole night, and he didn't want to pay me towards the end. Oh. And I remember my friends, and I know they'll see the video pretty soon. David and Desi, they'll remember that. And I can't forget, of course, David's friend Carlos. All three of them. I remember towards the end of that night, we had to grab everything out of the house quick, because the owner was pretty much threatening us to close everything. Like, I could have lost my equipment that day. That night, I could have lost my equipment. I could have lost my records, everything that I've worked for. And basically, I mean, we went inside the house, we grabbed everything, and we put it on the other side of the street. It was really, you know, it was like that. And how they paid me, I mean, like, it was very unfair. I mean, like, they went ahead and they paid me all in quarters. And that there, I mean, you cannot imagine all those quarters and everything from what I charged, and it wasn't even too much neither.
Wow, that's a horrible experience. I can see why you kind of shied away from it for a little bit.
Exactly.
So,
I mean, I really shied away from it. I mean, like, from after that experience, you know, I'm talking to my parents and everything, especially my dad, and look, I need to focus in school. You know, this is more important. This is a guaranteed future. And that's exactly what I did. You know, I was able to finish my high school, and of course college as well too. But basically, I mean, like, how I started going back again DJing, it was basically in the year 2007 that I started, in the beginning of 2007, where I remember I brought my friends when I first met them, and once they, I know they'll see this, Brian and Kelby, when they first met me, and they saw the turntables and everything, and I remember I brought them over to my garage one day, and I was like, they asked me about it, and I'm like, well, you know what, let me just connect it, let me show off to see if I still have anything, you know, and from there, I mean, like, I showed them a little bit, but they weren't, like, they were doing something else during the time. But it wasn't really until the second time when they asked me, look, I'm doing something here. I'm having a little private event here, a very, very private event. You know, because basically, like, the fams, they went to they left the country for 3 weeks. So then we started having our own Gettys every weekend.
Nice. Those are really private events.
Yeah, those are really private events. And I remember during the daytime, it was a weekend, I had brought my stuff, and they really heard me mix with vinyl and everything, and they were like, wow, like, you're really good, Alex, you know. And then I'm like, I told them, well, look, I only do this as a hobby, you know, like, I'm not really taking it seriously, you know, so I just do it whenever I can, or whatever, you know. I just left it as whatever during the time. So then between 2007 and 2011, I would always have free gig. I would always do an event for them for free. I DJ'd for their sister's birthday party back in 2008. But again, you know, none of it was serious, and that's because I didn't make it serious. Yeah. I didn't make the initiative.
Had it. You still had that passion for it, but it wasn't your main focus.
Exactly. It wasn't my focus during the time. So in 2010, I mean, like, between 2009 and 2010, I mean, like, I did make my first mix of the decade. And I mean, that first mix, I mean, I did it for fun. It wasn't meant for promotional purposes or anything. And, you know, I just did it because I loved how it sounded. I loved how the sounds were coming out, and I was just really, really motivated to do it. And, you know, I hooked up with another DJ, but he really wasn't that serious. Again, he only lasted a few months, but again, you know, he did see the talent that I had, and at the same time I was helping him out as well too. But again, he didn't last too long. You know, I know he remembers Anthony Silva. He was DJ Silva back in the day, back in 2010. So I remember him. So he also, you know, like, gave me, you know, more of a boost, you know, a little bit of a boost, you know, of passion, you know, to really go out there.
So what is this next part?
Well,
this next little phase.
Well, the next part of how everything really came together. I mean, in 2011, I mean, I did make a video mix, which my brother helped me record, and it was all vinyl. And again, I did it all just for fun, because, you know, it was just a passion, you know, that I still had, you know, that I still have today. Yeah. So. And, you know, the video, you can catch it on YouTube, and, you know, if whoever's interested, you know, I'll go ahead, I'll post a link right underneath this video, so that way you guys can see. A few people have seen it before, so. But anyways, 2011, my main focus was, I was focused somewhere else. I remember I was working with this other business because, again, it was one of those other businesses. A lot of people think, it's a pyramid scheme or this and this and that. But to make that short, I spent the majority of my time that year just focusing on that.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really until October of 2011. I remember I was in Gainesville, and my friend calls me out of nowhere. And before I even went into a meeting, and he's like, look, Alex, I have a 15s coming up. You can go ahead, you can come. If you can DJ for them. And I really wasn't sure. I was like, well, should I do it or should I not?
You were iffy. You were like...
Exactly, because again,
that wasn't your focus at that time.
Exactly, so. It wasn't my focus. So I went ahead and, and by the way, he told me, like, for those that don't know me, like, I'm a really nice guy, I'm not, I'm not...
You're not egotistical or anything like that.
Exactly.
You're very down to earth.
So I went ahead and I did it anyway. I went ahead and I helped this friend out, did his 15s. And the 15s that I spent for, towards, during that time, October 2011, we, basically, I came late. I remember I showed up late. I set up everything. But at the end, everything turned out well. Like, I was really surprised. Like, I was shocked to see how many people were up dancing, and my friend right next to me, and he's like, Alex, rip it. My boy Brian, again, and I remember that.
Pushing you and pushing
exactly,
you
pushing, and, at the same time, of course, who doesn't drink alcohol, of course,
I think that
made it even more interesting.
That's part of the job.
And I remember, we had about, 40 people, because it was a private event as well too. Yeah. So they only invited like around 40, 50 people. We had the majority of the house stand up and just dance the whole night.
That's good. And that's how you know you're ripping it. Everybody's on the dance floor.
Exactly. And that, I was like, wow. So, this happened. And I remember the owner, the guy that was the host of the party, he went ahead and, of course he paid me. And then he's like, look, man, you were late, but you were good.
You gotta throw that in there.
I remember that, and I'm like, thank you. And of course, I apologize for being late because during the time again, my focus was somewhere else.
Yeah.
And
I've noticed through telling the story, no matter where your focus is, you always find a way back to those turntables.
Exactly, and that's the really funny part about everything. And I remember after that private event, 2 weeks later they called me for another event, and which I did as well too. I did phenomenal in that event as well too, and then from there, between the end of October and December, I was thinking it over, and I'm like, well, you know what? Should I really get serious with this? Mm-hmm. Should I? And I remember being over at a friend's house. Well, Brian and Kelby, remember, when I was spending over at their house, and they were like, well, I met this one guy. His name is Aaron, and I remember we were having a conversation about it. And he liked the way that I spent and everything, and he has experience in the game already. Mm-hmm. And he was explaining to me, look, you take this serious, then this is what you have to get, or this is what you have to do. And and I was really thinking about it, and after thinking about it and everything long and hard, I remember I took my brother, and we were like, look, man, this is what I'm gonna get, you're coming with me right now. And
wow.
And I went ahead, I did my first purchase, my first purchase on my software, and from there, me and my brother, I tested out everything in his room, and I'm like, wow, I'm surprised how technology has really picked up throughout the years. I was really surprised, I was really shocked, and honestly, I'm still shocked up to today, because there's things that I don't even know about.
Yeah.
And
technology
the marketing
is always growing and building, and
exactly, and in the marketing world, in marketing terms, what I'm considered as a laggard in the game. Basically, I'm one of those consumers that are late in the game, that are still getting introduced to it.
It's like a little pyramid kind of.
Exactly.
When it comes to that.
Exactly. You have your early consumers that they know about everything first, and
they just want to get because it's new.
Exactly.
It's new. They want to be the first ones to get it, and.
Exactly, and that's because I wasn't focused during the time, and I lost so much, so much in touch with technology. But
now you're focused, so
exactly.
Now we're here.
Exactly. So
let's move on to some current work some stuff that you're working on now, because you have so much that you worked on, and you have such a history.
Yeah.
Such a big history. So let's talk about some of the more current stuff that you have out.
Well,
I know your mixtape's coming out really soon.
Yeah, I have a mixtape coming out pretty soon. I already have it all finalized. Right now I'm just getting more things together. I want to go ahead and basically, I mean, from any other DJ, you can ask any DJ, anyone out there, everything, most of it is all promoting yourself and marketing. And
that is the biggest thing with anything.
Exactly.
Promotion.
So I want to make sure that before I release this, that that I have everything set, the right tools, the right flyers, everything right. So that way, when it comes out, and by the way, I mean, for my fans and for everybody out there, this mix is not going to be. I'm not going to sell this mix. I'm going to give this mix away. I'm going to make a lot of copies on this mix, and I'm going to give it away. I still haven't selected the location or the club or where I'm going to be spinning at, but as soon as I have that information, I'm going to let everybody know.
Of course, so, and we'll pass it along too. And
exactly.
I'll be there.
Appreciate the support.
I have to support. I love to support all of my artists because you guys come on and show me love and do these interviews with me, so I gotta support you guys back. So I'll be out there and we'll let everybody know where, when, how to get it.
Exactly. As soon as I have a release date, I really don't have a release date yet. Besides the mixtape as well too, I have other things that I'm working on. And again, everything in the DJ world, and anything you do in life, it's all networking.
Definitely.
And that's why I haven't really regretted my history behind DJing and everything that I've done, because the business that I was in 2011, what that taught me was how to market myself and how to really go out there and not to be shy, especially if you're really passionate about something. Yeah. So the mixtape, that's still a work in progress. I'm also networking with other DJs as well too. I've already linked up with a few DJs throughout the last few days, and I'm really thinking ahead. I have some DJs that really inspire me today, and some that still inspire me today. Like I remember DJ Def. I know DJ Def, listening to him back in Power 96 back in the day, middle school and high school, and listening to DJ Zog, 5 p.m. Traffic Jam. I remember that. And they really, listening to the mixes and everything, even though I wasn't focused, like I love listening to them. Like they're really, really talented.
You always had that inspiration, no matter what. DJing was made for you. It definitely was, because listening to you, you're so passionate about it, and it's always been a big part of your life. So no matter what, even if you weren't DJing, I can tell that it was still there.
That's true. And now no, I don't want to offend Power 96 or anything. I love the radio station, they're great, but right now I'm listening more to DJ 106.7. The two DJs that really inspire me from that radio station, I gotta give it up to Nico Calor. Like DJ Nico Calor, like he's just, that guy is super, super talented, and with him, not only do I DJ as well too, but I also make my own personal mashups. I make my own edits, and listening to his edits, it has inspired me to do my own edits and to get creative. And of course, DJ Flo, he's another one as well too. And DJ Flo, little story behind how I know him. I basically, we both went to the same middle school, but I never knew he started DJing. I never knew that.
You guys were in the same place, but maybe not. You weren't networking at that time.
Exactly. I never knew he was DJing at the time, and I wish I would have known that, because if I would have known that, then maybe things would have turned out different. But then again, I wouldn't be here right next to you today.
So you've mentioned a few DJs that inspire you, and lots of stuff that has inspired you. Is there anybody else that really inspires you?
Well, again, with Flo, he's also inspired me, listening to his mixes, and he's very talented as well too. I love how he mixes and learning a little bit from everybody, because that's how you create your own style. You learn a little bit from everybody as well too. Another one, one of the biggest ones, actually the biggest one that's really inspired me a lot more, is actually DJ Tiesto. I listen to Tiesto, and I know he's out of the genre that I spin, because by the way, the genres that I prefer to spin. I'm an open format DJ, but I prefer to spin more reggaeton, hip hop, and Latin house, and a little bit of house. But that's what I
That's
prefer.
Your genre.
Exactly. That's my main genre right there. But with Tiesto, I mean, like, Tiesto, who doesn't know Tiesto? I mean, like, the way that he mixes his electro music, I mean, and, you know, back then, I mean, like, how can I say this? I mean, back then, I mean, like, he listening to his stuff and everything, like, I love that type of trance and that type of techno from back then, because I mean, today, I mean, like, it's still good and everything, but there's nothing like past music, past techno and past trance music from that genre back then.
Yeah,
that's still something.
The past builds what we have today, so it's always good to know our past and where we came from.
Exactly.
I mean, in any field, definitely. So you mentioned your genre, which you said was, you know, hip hop, Latin, and, you know, and all of that. So what kind of clubs do you DJ at then? Since you are an open format DJ.
Well, I mean, I've been, you know, I mean, like, right now, I don't have a certain spot right now.
Yeah, you don't have that residency yet.
Not yet. I mean, I did have well, I'm not gonna say short-lived, but I was at Art Bar spinning here in Las Olas, spinning already for like 3 weekends already, and the vibe out there, it's fine, you know, but right now they're going under some things right now, so let's see what happens with that.
Yeah.
But besides Art Bar, I mean, I've been to the Cove, La Covacha, Mecca in Miami, Justin's Lounge, I've been there as well too. There's also a list as well too. If you guys log into my, if you go into your Facebook and you search me up, my like page, DJ LSL, you read up more about my bio, you'll go ahead and you'll see the clubs that I've been at and the type of events that I've been at as well too. I mean, I do every event. I mean, I go from all ages to like 18 plus, 21 plus, and private events, quincas, weddings, everything that I do.
Anything that involves a DJ, you're there and you're ready to go. So you have a long history of DJing, and now that you're focused on it and it's your main passion and main focus right now, where do you see yourself going with it?
Well, in this game, I mean, anything can happen, and, you know, I mean, I can't really answer that question because, I mean, I'm still going to be focused. But instead of, you know, future plans, I mean, the goals that I have and where I want to be, I mean, a lot of people, you know, have goals and this and that, but a lot of people really don't reach them. And the reason why is because it's either the lack of passion or the lack of taking initiative. Or as well too, what I've seen in the game as well too, there's people out there that are cocky and that really think they know everything when really they don't, you know. I'm still
a lot of people out there.
Exactly, and still have to learn, you know. And one of the things, you know, in order to make it in this game, I mean, you have the main thing, I mean, and what I've always done my whole entire life, and it's, you know, remaining being humble, you know. And that's very important because, you know, I mean, a lot of people, I mean, there's DJs out there that post on Facebook, oh, I just finished rocking this crowd and this and that and da-da-da-da. Have you seen any professional DJs, like someone that really, you know, that's really up there, that really says that?
Your work should speak for itself.
Exactly.
You shouldn't have to hype yourself up. Your work speaks volumes.
Exactly, and with that, I mean, like, where I want to see myself is basically to begin, because, you know, I mean, like, and this is just, you know, it's a future plan, but again, you know, I mean, you never know what can happen.
Especially in this industry, the entertainment industry, it's a tough one, so you never know what the road is gonna lead you to.
First thing I want to do is have my own residency already, so that way my fans and everybody that knows me can personally see me spin.
So, any clubs out there, you're looking for a DJ, DJ LSL, he's looking for a residency. Come on.
And the main focus, I mean, where I want to be at mainly is actually in the radio station. I mean, that's where I want to spend my time, you know, because, I mean, whether you get paid or you don't, believe it or not, I mean, like, this is where a lot of the marketing, this is where the people come from. This is where fans come from. People listen to the radio. Who doesn't listen to the radio, you know?
Yeah, no matter
that's where everybody comes, you know? That's like the biggest form of, that's one of the biggest forms of promotion, you know? And as long as I have those two, then I know from there I can go beyond there. And that there is really more, you know, I mean, like, more long term. But right now, my future goals, my short term, maybe kind of long term, depends on what happens and how the time is. Those are my two goals right now, and that's where I want to be at.
Nice. So, I know that you were with Team Kryptonite before. Tell me a little bit about that. And then we'll go on to the Full Pound because, you know, we stay repping Full Pound over here.
Oh,
so
yes. Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit about Kryptonite and then tell me a little how you got hooked up with Full Pound.
Well, right now, I mean, like, Kryptonite wasn't first in my list to begin with. Full Pound, I was with them for the very beginning, I mean, since March of 2012, so I already have a year and a month. But how Kryptonite really came about, it was down the road, like 4 or 5 months after I started DJing. I met David Solo, and he, you know, I mean, basically, to keep a long story short, I met him through Will Castillo. Will Castillo, you know, he had told me to pick him up for an event that we had, and you know, we started talking, me and David Solo, and you know, we of course, you know, who doesn't have a lot of connections, you know, a lot of things in common. So you know, I mean, especially DJing. So you know, our main you know, conversations were more, you know, about DJing and this and that, you know, more about the music, and it was actually, I mean, I remember Solo, he left for a month to New Jersey. And when he came back, I remember I had a private event, so I took him with me. I told him, look, come with me in Alcatraz, you know. And by the way, I spent also toured Alcatraz, and I'll get into that a little bit more.
Alcatraz we featured already, so.
Mm-hmm. So, anyways, I remember when he came back, we had this one event, and I remember like I spent throughout the whole event, and he didn't spin, you know, and I felt bad, you know, because I wanted to see him spin, and again, he was passionate about spinning. So I mean, I remember whatever I made, I mean, I really gave my half to him. And I gave him my half.
Pretty generous.
And no matter what I had, I mean, I really didn't care. It was $10 over, $5 over. But you know, I mean, at the end, you know, I mean, because he came out and he showed support, you know, I wanted to, you know, to return that back. But it really wasn't until after this. I remember I had a wedding, and after that wedding, that's when we really got together about Kryptonite. And I got together with him and a few other people, and that's when we really started pushing Kryptonite, and when we really tried, we really, you know, I mean, really went ham and helping out and doing this and doing that. I mean, I was all over the place helping Solo out, you know, with Kryptonite and getting everything full functioning underway. I mean, right now, I mean, like I stopped with Kryptonite. My personal reason being why, I mean, I would like to explore more other opportunities because
explore more options.
Exactly, because I mean, in the long run, I mean, you know, David Solo and the rest of Team Kryptonite, they still have that network, you know. We still have that network with us.
There's still that relationship there.
Exactly.
Things happen, and
exactly.
You have to explore all of your options.
Exactly.
One of those being Full Pound. So.
Exactly. Full Pound, I mean, you already know. 16OZ, Full Pound, I mean, I'm not going anywhere with Full Pound. I mean, Full Pound, I mean, they
Full Pound goes hard all over. Every artist I've interviewed thus far is, man, you guys put in work.
Oh yeah, we especially, you know, I mean, Lex Francis, my brother Young Focus, the producer, I mean, they, you know, I mean, like they do a lot of work, and you know, Razel too, you know, he puts in a lot of work, and
Razel he's become passionate. One of my inspirations, to say the least. So they're all of them, they're very, very passionate, you know, and everybody's supporting us, and it's a really, you know, I mean, like, I'm very thankful to be with Full Pound. And so know, how did you get with Full Pound? How did that relationship start and come about?
Well, before Full Pound, before we made it up to this far with Full Pound, it was basically all through Darcy and my brother, because they were both always recording a track. And I remember they made the track, one of the tracks that played in 99 Jams, Wave. They, you know, I mean, I remember the recording and everything. That's a whole nother story that I'm not gonna get into.
That's a story for another day.
I'm gonna have my brother explain it. Young Focus, my brother, the producer, so he'll explain.
One day he'll be on the show.
Yeah, he'll explain to you how this really came about with Full Pound. But anyways, he had told me about Full Pound and everything, and I was seeing, wow, like they have like him and Raz are like really starting to build like a good connection. So you know what? Let me talk to Razel. You know, maybe I can, you know, I mean, you know, join and, you know, and help out, you know, and do whatever I can. So I remember I brought my laptop one day over to Razel's house, and I started mixing like you know, whatever, you know, I was bored. Yeah. And he's like, yo, son, you're really good, man. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I'm like, thank you, you know, and you know, and then ever since that day, like, he's just been helping me out, you know, like, Razel, the whole team, my brother, Lex Francis, Alcatraz, and with Alcatraz, I mean, like that's a whole other thing too with Alcatraz. I mean, Alcatraz, how it really came into play. Before I even got into 4 Pound, I met Alcatraz first through my brother, and that was in the beginning of 2012 when I started to focus more on DJing.
Yeah.
When I first really got more into it.
Yeah, because you guys do a lot of events together, I've noticed.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yep, and Alcatraz, yeah, he's also, you know, I mean, like a big help as well too. You know, another big influence as well too, because he's the one that really reintroduced me again to everything that I've missed out in the last few years, and how technology has really upgraded, and what he uses and what he doesn't use, and you know, he's a help, you know.
Somewhat of a mentor.
Exactly, yeah. To reintroduce me back into the game.
Yeah. So before we go, is there any advice you want to give other DJs out there trying to get into the game, or DJs that are in the game?
Well, the DJs that are in the game, and first of all, for the DJs that are in the game, it's very important that you remain humble in this game. In this game, I mean, at the same time too, it can be cutthroat. And from what I've noticed, you know, especially nowadays, you have to remain humble, and at the same time too, if you know, I mean, if you really do stand out and you do have a big following, you know, I mean, you have to find a way to keep everything professional, and at the same time too, again, humbleness. I mean, I don't know how, I cannot stress that enough. I mean, you have to be humble, and of course focused. But one of the main things that's also going to get, you know, other DJs ahead as well too is the passion. Passion is, I mean, the passion that I have for this, I mean, it's just out of this world, and that there, you know, I mean, that really does help. You know, if there, one thing that I always say to myself, if there's no passion, there's nothing else is there. So I think I'm gonna have to put that as first, you know, and then being humble, because if you have no passion for this, nothing else is there. Forget about turntables, forget about listening to music, forget about all that, you know. If you just listen to music, then that's fine, you know. But if you're really into this, then hey, you know what I mean, you must have passion.
You have to be passionate
exactly.
about work, no matter what.
And then the reason why I say passionate and humble is because, I mean, like, not only have I had success DJing, but I've also had success, you know, in other parts of my life as well too. And I mean, especially for this business that I was in before. I mean, back 2 years ago, before I started focusing more on DJing, well, about 3 years ago, I actually, you know, I mean, I ranked first in the state of Florida in profit.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And you know, I ranked among the top few, and you know, traveling here and there, and you know, and that, you know, I mean, that really, that you know, I mean, like, no matter what you do in life, I mean, you have to remain humble and passion, you know, and you have to sacrifice as well too. If there's no sacrifice, then hey, you know, I mean, what else can you expect? What else can you expect? You know, and for the DJs out there that are still beginning and that are still learning throughout the game. Just make sure that, you know, you practice every day, you know, especially if you're still young. I mean, you know, when I started, I mean, practice every day, you know. But then again, you know, if you have school, you know, I suggest that you take care of your homework first. You take care of that first, because that there is a guaranteed future. Yeah. Because at the same time, I'm not saying, hey, drop out school and DJ, because that's not the case. You always gotta have a backup plan, and no matter what you do, in anything that you do. So practice every single day. If you want to get better in scratching, hey, practice, and you'll see. Because I mean, at the same time, you can have someone teach you, but you can't really, you know, I mean, you can't really.
But it's nothing
do the
like
same.
Learning it yourself.
Exactly.
Putting in your own time and your own work into it.
Exactly. So
some very valuable advice for DJs out there. So contact info, Facebook, you can go ahead and type in DJ LSL. You can see more about me. You can see all the pictures, everything that I've done. If you want to listen to my mixes, then my mixes are on SoundCloud, soundcloud.com/DJ LSL 1200. You can listen to the preview of my new mix that I'm going to release. It's about 8 minutes long. The finalized mix is actually 41 minutes long. So yeah,
you can go ahead.
I heard the pre-mix.
Yeah.
I was like in my room, like I was jamming out.
So check that out. You know what I mean? Check that out, and I'm gonna keep everyone in contact. If you also, you know what I mean, if you need a DJ for a private event, anything that you're doing, my phone number 954-274-5855.
4363. And also too, I mean, for other DJs as well too, I mean, like, if you have any questions, you know, I mean, if there's anything that you like to know, I always love to network with people, because that's how you learn. You learn from other people, and you learn from each other. So, you know,
is the biggest thing in this industry. Is network.
Exactly. So don't be shy and give me a call. You know what I mean? I'll pick up. I'll listen. I'll be glad to listen to your story. I'll be glad to help you. You know, that's why, you know, that's part of, you know, who I am. I mean, I besides DJing, you know, I'm here. You know, you already know. You guys already seen it. So
usually we have our artists spit a rhyme, but like I said, this week is a little different because we have a DJ. So he is actually gonna scratch a little bit for us. I got my wine here, and I'm ready to listen. I hope you guys are.
All right, everyone. So this is my setup. What I'm working with right now. These turntables. I mean, like, these turntables are. I'm actually gonna say, with DJing, this is actually a childhood dream that I especially these turntables. They were my childhood dream. This is like a forgotten dream that I pretty much forgot about, but didn't really realize it until. But okay, so these are some of the vinyls that I've collected over the years. I mean, like, I you know, have some of DJ LSL's old stuff. I mean, some Nine Booty from back then. Some of that. Remember this vinyl here too. Listening to it on the 6th grade. Maria, Wyclef, and Santana, Carlos Santana. So I mean, I have my vinyl here and there. I mean, about to Dre next episode. So, oh look, I got still Dre as well too. But yep. So let me show you guys what I really work with.